are getting closer, going faster than a roller coaster. Love like yours will surely come my way. I hate. Love like yours will surely come my way.
Verizon knows how to build unlimited right. Start with America's most awarded network.
I'm on my phone 24/7.
Then, for the first time ever, give families more entertainment with Disney+, Hulu, and ESPN+, now all included.
We're a big soccer family. Handmaid's Tale. I love Frozen.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need.
You get so much more than this, a great network.
With plans starting at just $35. The network more people rely on gives you more. This is unlimited built right, only on Verizon.
I just think that this message is important for any time, whether we're going through this pandemic or not. For our culture to get an understanding of what it is to look at the possibility of our passing and go into it with courage and openness and the acknowledgement that every moment is so vitally important. I think that that message is a great thing at any time, certainly now.
Here's the thing. I like you. I know your diagnosis complicates things, but I don't care.
Hey, man.
Do you like me?
Yes, I do.
Even though I don't have cancer?
Make your move, Romeo. Most teenagers feel like they're invincible. Not the Superman kind of invincible. The kind of invincible that tricks you into thinking tomorrow might be a better day to start chasing your dreams.
I'm gonna throw up.
We've been through this, just breathe.
You are my best friend, so you are morally obligated to say nice things to me. Everybody else out there is not my best friend.
If everyone else doesn't like it, then they're idiots. And while there's a lot that I don't know at my age, what I do know is this. We all have limited time.
Tell me something you never told before I walk through the door. I adore you, I adore you.
I do.
How are you?
Love chemo.
Is it because it worked or?
I do.
What you're facing is scary, but you get to decide what matters most now.
Never give up.
Shut the front door. Are you writing a song?
Hello. I was thinking it might be cool if we did something that was just ours.
Fix me up, my darling.
Zach, have you looked on YouTube?
You have 20,000 views?
You should be happy. I thought this is what you wanted.
Doesn't really matter what I want because it's not gonna happen.
It's not fair.
Stop! I have nothing to give you. No ring,
Zach.
no future, nothing.
Zach!
There's so much in there that the world needs to hear. What are you gonna do with it?
This is insane.
Just breathe.
We'll go up, 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 but I'll fly a little higher.
Are you him? No. Up, up, up.
Yeah, I'm Zach.
It's my favorite song.
In the end, I just want to make people happy. I, Zachary Sobiech, am asking you.
Yes!
Please go to... For as long as I can. Because what some people take for granted, others are fighting for. And believe me, I'm a fighter.
Welcome to the PaleyFest Fall TV Previews. I'm Scott Mantz, your host for this special conversation celebrating the Disney Plus original movie Clouds, which premieres on Disney Plus on October 16th. And thanks to the PaleyFest official card city and festival sponsor Verizon for making this event possible. This program is presented by the Paley Center for Media. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to honoring excellence in television through educational programs, great conversations with the stars and storytellers of acclaimed series like the one we are celebrating today, and the preservation of television's creative legacy through the Paley Archive. To learn more and to become a member, please visit paleycenter.org, and thank you. Now today we are thrilled to welcome the members of the gifted cast and creative team of Disney Plus's Clouds, which again premieres on October 16th on Disney Plus. So joining us we have director Justin Baldoni. Hi, Justin.
Hey, thanks for having us, Scott.
Say hi to Finn Argus. Hi, Finn.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Neve Campbell. Hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Very excited to be speaking to you.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Hello, how's it going?
And Madison Iseman.
Oh, hi everyone.
So first, it really is about the story. It is about the script. And I want to know, Justin, how did this come about for you? And how did you come to know Zach's family?
Well, the journey started for me about 8 years ago. I had created a little show called My Last Days, which aired on Soul Pancake with our friends at Soul Pancake. And I was looking for the final story in that documentary series, and I came across Zach and fell in love. He became like a little brother to me, and kind of became like an adopted member of the family. And before I even left the making of the documentary, I started talking to the family about what I could do to help kind of further Zach's message. And before he died, I made a promise to Zach that I would do whatever I could to make sure his story was seen by as many people as possible, and that I would help him raise money for the Zach Sobiech Osteosarcoma Fund, which was a cancer charity set up in his name. And here we are, 7 years later, and the world's about to get reintroduced to Zach and his beautiful story and his beautiful music.
Well, talk about a promise that you not only kept, but knocked out of the park. What kind of a responsibility did you really feel to really just get everything right?
How do I answer that without crying? It was look, they say it's not, like making movies, it's always this idea of like, it's not life or death, or we're not curing cancer. And here is a situation where it's both. I've always believed to a certain extent that, movies can ignite like a spark in a human being to inspire them to change the world. And when you encounter people like Zach, who overcame such tremendous adversity and maybe didn't have the outcome that like we wish he would have had, if you look at what he accomplished in his 18 years and what he did and how he affected people, the fact that here we are 7 years later doing a panel because a movie's about to come out, and his music, the fact that he's raised so much money for his cancer charity that is actually looking to find a cure for osteosarcoma. If you look at all of those things, it is life or death, and it is curing cancer. And it just goes to show the power we have as artists, as actors, as filmmakers, as storytellers, as critics, to get a chance to actually make an impact with our art. So the responsibility was massive, but I got to say, he was next to me the whole time. I know each of the members of the cast can attest to that. They've all had their own individual experiences with it. And his mom, Laura, played an integral part. This is a movie based on her book. And she guided all of us and made sure we were all focused on the mission, which was to do honor and justice to Zach and his story.
Okay, now, Finn, before I throw a question to you, I have to say, bravo. And can we all, everyone on the Zoom, really just give it up for Finn?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, Finn. So how did you prepare? I mean, this was not just an emotional performance, it was a physical one as well. Not only how did you prepare, but how did you sort of take on that responsibility and really take it to heart so you got it right?
Yeah, well, first of all, we were lucky enough to meet the family and Zach's best friend, Sammy Brown, who's played by Sabrina Carpenter, and Amy Adamley, who's played by Madison Iseman. And that opportunity to meet them and really connect with the family beforehand was beyond helpful in terms of understanding the dynamics of the relationships and just seeing the love in person that connected all of them, even after Zach's death. And last year, I was dealing with something in my own personal life that was echoing Zach's story with a dear family member who was fighting her battle with cancer. So the emotions were at the forefront. I was able to tap into them easily, in this case, for better. And it was difficult, but I had a family around me in this cast, in Zach's family. It kind of felt like meeting old friends when I went to Minnesota. That's how I always think of it. They're like old friends to me. And for that reason, I felt safe to be vulnerable and push myself to emotional depths. And that it was really just getting to know the family and getting to know this cast and crew, and it was a team effort.
And how do you think that Clouds honors Zach's legacy?
Clouds honors Zach's legacy by putting forward his message in an even greater way and raising awareness for osteosarcoma, which was something that he was incredibly passionate about. And this movie inspires people to hold the ones they love closer, which is also what Zach was about. His message was to live for today. And when you watch this movie, that's exactly what it makes you want to do. It makes you want to hug your family just that much tighter and tell the people you love them that you love them.
Yeah, it sure does, especially in these challenging times. Yeah, Neve, I want to ask about meeting Laura, getting past sort of the responsibility and maybe the nervousness of playing a real life character. What did you get out of that meeting with Laura to really channel that and elevate your performance?
Oh my gosh. I read Laura's book and I finished it the night before I met her. And I was lying in bed next to my husband, just bawling my eyes out. And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I just thought, and I said to him, she is just so incredible. She's just so incredible, this woman. What she lived through and carried her family through in such a beautiful way. And the way that she has expressed that to the world in her book, and the strength and her faith and her acceptance of her journey is just like beyond what any of us want to go through. But then at the same time, it's so inspiring. It gives us the strength to know that if ever we have these kinds of challenges in our lives, that there's a way to overcome them. And, as Finn said, Zach's message was to, live for today. And boy, is she carrying that, and her family are carrying that. And his message was so strong. I met her that day, and I was overwhelmed and inspired, and we bonded very, very quickly. We have a similar energy, and I don't know, we just really hit it off. And I was so grateful for her courage to tell her story and to share with me, and her courage to allow me to play her. Because what a big thing to hand over, and what a big responsibility for me. And yes, somewhat daunting. But as I said, an honor. I'm like, such an important message that I was just grateful to be able to play her, like so grateful to be cast in this role, to tell this story, to be a part of this journey. It's not often that the films that we make can have the kind of impact that I hope this film will have. I know that this film will have. So yeah, it was very powerful to meet her, and to know her. It still is very powerful to know her.
And working with Finn, he just goes through such an arc throughout this movie. What was your take on his performance? I know he's sitting right here, but
Finn was, what a big ask this job was for him. And he carried it. He carried Zach. And as Justin said, Zach was with us, but there were days where Laura and Rob were on set and they were crying looking at Finn, and they had to hug him because they felt that their son was there. And that says a lot about Finn's performance. It's so courageous, so brave, so generous and honoring of who Zach was. I'm blown away. Blown away by Finn. I'm blown away by this cast. Honestly, these young actors, you all did such an incredibly honest, strong job. Yeah, it's nice to be a part of this cast for sure.
Music is such a big part of this film, and so is the internet, social media, YouTube, all of that, in the sense of just how Zach just went viral with his song. But Sabrina, I want to ask you about the power of the music and why that's such an integral part of Clouds.
I think music is a whole other language, and I've always felt that throughout my entire life, and it speaks to people in ways, and I'm always so amazed by how far music can travel and how much it can communicate that, words can't all the time. I remember reading the sides for Clouds for the first time. I was in Canada, and I was just like sitting there crying, and then once I listened to Zach and Sammy's album, I literally was just like, my heart was set on wanting to be a part of telling this story. Obviously, like, I couldn't make that decision at the end of the day, so thankfully it all worked out. But I think that, the most incredible thing about the story to me was the fact that the song really just resonated with people all over the world, and the fact that like one person's story became a million people's story, and and the fact that now we're able to even extend that message further, and how also the longevity of a single song can live for years and years and years, and it can transcend time, and that can be something that outlives people. I think that Zach, I'm sure he knew what he was doing and how special he was, but like, I think just even seeing what one song of his and the power that it had and held, and how much it's still resonating in life today, it just shows people, like, it should give people that motivation and that hope and inspiration to want to make the same small steps, because they can end up making a really big difference in a good way. I think the music was so fun for us to do as well, because like it really bonded us together. I know Finn and I, like, we sang together in our first read, and we sang Clouds, and then after that we started bonding through music and listening to music and playing music and writing music, and yeah, I think it brings this film to life in a way that couldn't have been possible if that song hadn't existed. And also, like, Sammy Brown's a killer songwriter, so to be able to play hers is an honor in itself.
The entire time that you were talking just now, Finn was like nodding his head in agreement with everything. What was going through your mind during that entire conversation just now? Because you were like nodding in agreement in every single way.
Well, it's interesting because the friendship dynamic between Zach and Sammy is, in a lot of ways, what Sabrina and I came to know each other as. Like, we bonded over music. That was one of the first things we did together, was sitting in this audition room playing Clouds. And since that moment, we've had to learn all of these different songs that Zach and Sammy wrote together, and it brought us together in such a deep and heartfelt way. And yeah, I was agreeing with the fact that she's saying music can bring people together, and it's a language that transcends. I totally agree. I feel like our relationship, Sabrina and my relationship, has evolved into such a beautiful thing because we got to connect through music, specifically Zach and Sammy's music, because it's so powerful and inspirational. Being able to play that, especially with Sabrina, was a huge gift.
Well, Madison, this is, at its heart, a love story. Tell us about the love story aspect of the story and getting it right, meeting the real Amy. There's a lot going on with this love story.
It was a lot. And, they just had such an interesting relationship. And Amy and Zach, they loved each other so boundlessly in a way that I don't think anyone can really experience unless you were in a situation like they were in. And Amy just possessed such grace and strength. And she really is like one of the most incredible women I've ever met in my life. So she was sort of my rock throughout this whole movie. I know for Finn too, we would call her during production and just be like, help us out with this. Like, how did you feel? Like, she was definitely my guiding light throughout this entire thing. She was gracious enough to share personal letters that her and Zach had written back and forth from each other during their time together, and shared so many stories and memories, and was just really just opened up her world to their entire relationship. And I couldn't have asked for more. She she's the reason, you know, I think Finn and I were able to pull this off so well. Also, Finn and I have been friends since we were like 16. So for us, it was just such a special treat to be able to perform together, and especially to bring, you know, this story to life for Zach and for Amy. But big shoes to fill for sure. They're incredible. Amy is just the coolest person I've ever met.
And what about for you, Madison, meeting the rest of Zach's family? I mean, that must have also taken it to another level.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, you listen to the music at home and you read the story, you read Laura's book, but it's when we kind of got there that everything really got real. You know, we went down to Zach's old bedroom and his basement, and we sat there with the entire family and played songs and shared stories. And there was a time where all the adults left and the crew left, and it was kind of just us and the kids down in the basement. That was really a really special moment for us. And it almost felt like Finn said, like old friends, like we'd known them our entire lives. And it was just an extremely special, moving moment that I'll never forget as long as I live. Yeah.
You know, in a film like this, chemistry is everything. And you've got chemistry with the love story, with the music, with the family, with the parents. Justin, how did you luck out with getting just an amazing cast that really got the authentic, genuine, organic chemistry that every filmmaker really, really is looking for?
I mean, that's God right there. Look, at the end of the day, you read and you meet so many actors and actresses for these parts, and there's a bit of luck, there's a bit of intuition, there's a bit of prayer, there's a bit of all of it. But at the end of the day, this cast, they were always meant to play this role. Like each of their roles, they were born and meant for it. Finn, I believe with all my heart, was born to play Zach. And there's so many little coincidences that little magical things that happen throughout the making of this movie that luckily is actually going to be airing also on Disney Plus. In case you all don't know, we're doing a 10-part series called Beyond the Clouds, so we can actually go deep into all these magical little moments that happened. So we have like 100 minutes of really cool things that I'm excited to share with the world. But, you know, even down to Finn as an example, you know, one of the first songs he learned on the guitar happened to be one of the same songs that Zach learned on the guitar, you know. All these amazing little moments that happened, the fact that Madison and Finn actually knew each other beforehand, and so their chemistry was already off the charts. You know, Sabrina Carpenter, like I don't think there's anyone that could have pulled off playing Sammy Brown. And it just so happens that Sabrina and Sammy also have the strangest identical sense of humor. And both of them love to tease me and make fun of me in the exact same way. So that was perfect. And as far as Neve goes, you know, Neve and Laura have such a similar energy. And she touched on that earlier. But I remember as we were casting Laura, I had watched an interview she had done. And I mean, I was a fan of Neve's from years and years and years ago, back in the Scream days, but I hadn't seen her recently. And I watched this interview, and even the way she talked and presented herself, she had this peace and this grace about her that is so mature and so rare, I think, in Hollywood. And it was just a no-brainer. Tom Everett Scott playing Rob. It just everybody also at their core believed deeply in the story, and nobody took this because it was a job. Not one person on this cast took this because it was a paycheck or because it was a job. They took it because they wanted to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and they believed in Zach and in his story. So for me, it was just about creating and facilitating an opportunity for them to meet the real cast, or to meet the real people, for them to be safe to go to the places they were going to go. And they did the rest. You know, they all connected in the way they were supposed to connect.
I have to say, coming from someone who sees 350 movies a year.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, man. So what struck me about the film, and this is a completely different set of eyes, is that, you know, here's a story that could have been really, really sad, left you feeling deeply, deeply sad. But when it was over, I was so moved. I was inspired. It was uplifting that last scene, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen the movie yet, but it was so uplifting. Like I felt good. And I gotta ask Finn, how did you like get that right tone to make it so uplifting?
I mean, that's Zach. It came through in his music. It came through in his relationships. And when I got to speak to his friends and family, the one thing that I heard over and over again, and from Justin as well, is that he's just such a goofy kid. And even in the face of such adversity, he found happiness. And like arguably some of like the most happiness that he had found in his whole life. The relationships blossomed because he realized that his time was limited. And like I said, my aunt last year was fighting her battle with cancer, and she had the exact same outlook. She had been battling brain cancer since I was born, and she's been an inspiration to me since I was a kid. And she set that example for me. She knew she had limited time. She didn't know when she was gonna, finish her battle with cancer, but she was always so positive. And she set that example for me. So I was lucky enough to have that image of positivity in adversity my whole life up until the point of filming this movie. So kind of like Justin said, maybe it was meant to be that I was supposed to play Zach, because I had my own Zach in my life, which was my Aunt Cher. And I think that helped fortify me and tap into that balance for the movie.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really, 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 really beautiful story. And Nev, the other thing that I was thinking about while I was watching the movie, that this is really a movie for everyone. I mean, it's for everyone. And I think that in these challenging times that we're living in, it's even more of a movie for everyone. How do you feel about that?
I just think that this message is important for any time, whether we're going through this pandemic or not. For our culture to get an understanding of what it is to look at the possibility of our passing and go into it with courage and openness and the acknowledgement that every moment is so vitally important. I think that message is a great thing at any time, certainly now. I know for me making this movie, I'm a mother of two boys, so it was very challenging and beautiful to sort of walk through this journey and get such a gratitude for the family that I have and the people in my world. And as Finn said earlier, like I got home and I held them so tight, like so tight. And I'm grateful. I carry this movie with me every day, every morning that I wake up with them. Sorry, I'm emotional.
But that's actually something I want to ask everybody is you make a film like this. And like Justin, like you said, this is just a job. You make a film like this, and I want to start, Madison, I want to go to you first, but I want everyone to weigh in. So Madison, how does making like a movie like Clouds change you, inspire you, change your perspective?
I just knew this movie was just something way bigger than anything else I had ever read before even meeting the family. And then just through meeting these people and the story we're telling of theirs, I'll never take a day for granted, I'll never take my family for granted. And every day is just so precious. And I don't think, it's hard to take the time to realize that, but it really is. You don't know what's going to happen and what comes next. So it's just appreciating the people around you and the life you're given and every day.
Sabrina, what's your take on that?
I think it's similar to, obviously what Madison said, what Justin said earlier about, us feeling like in this industry, maybe we're not saving lives, but then this kind of a project can really put a lot into perspective and make you realize that, you can save lives in more ways than one. And I think I always remember growing up and watching films and just being in awe and in wonder, and leaving the theaters feeling like I wanted to do something bigger, and I wanted to really be able to speak to a bigger part of the world and share positivity and love and kindness. But like, that's, you know, obviously this movie has that infused into it just from start to finish.
And Finn, what is your take?
I think about Zach every single day. I play his music all the time. Zach's music and his story have become a part of me, and I feel really grateful for that. It's helped realign my perspective on death, loss, and grief, and it's allowed me to process those emotions in a way that allows me to not let go, but kind of bolster myself. And it just gives me a new perspective on what loss means, because what I learned throughout the process of filming is that when you lose someone you love, that love doesn't go anywhere. You know, it stays right here. And I feel my aunt with me, I feel Zach with me, and I feel all you guys all the time. We've formed a family. If you do a project like this, you know, you get to know people. We all had to be very vulnerable, and we had to become a family and help each other out, build a support system. And I feel beyond lucky and grateful that I got a new family out of this and so many new people to love.
All right, this is like the best conversation I've ever had with filmmakers. I'll tell you. You know, so the review that's going to matter the most here is that of Zach's family. And Justin, I got to ask, what was it like for Zach's family, Sammy and Amy, to see the film?
First of all, you're right, man. You know, I don't make movies for critics. Your job is important, but this movie in particular was made for the family and for the audience. I was really nervous. You know, they really put a lot of trust in me, and I didn't want to screw up. Rob, in real life, if you get to know Rob, is a jokester, and he reminded me over and over and over again, don't screw this up. There's a reason why Zach and Sammy joke about like that in the movie. It's because that comes from Rob, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they lost their child. Amy lost her first love. Sammy lost her best friend and her writing partner and her muse. Grace lost her older brother. You know, that's what this at the center of this movie is. Despite like the money and the success and the reviews, that's what matters. Is we made a movie for these people who 6 years ago lost this person. And when I first showed them the movie, Rob watched it 5 times in a row. And he was happy. And he was joyful. Because he felt like we captured the spirit and the essence of his son. And Zach was joyful. And I think that's what matters. And I'm so happy, Scott, that you said that you felt joy after this movie, because we have enough darkness in the world. We have enough pain and suffering. We have enough death. This movie wasn't about a kid who died. It was about a kid who lived. And it was about a kid who lived and inspired us to live. And that's why I am so grateful for this cast who put their whole energy and lives and time into it, and for this family, for you guys for creating the space. And what I hope that people get from this movie at the end of the day is that they each have a choice. Everybody who watches this movie has a choice every single day, every minute of the day, every second of the day. And each one of us can choose happiness. We can choose joy, and we can choose to live just like Zach did, just like Amy did, just like Sammy did, just like Zach's parents did. Each one of them made a choice. And the difference with this movie is that they all made a positive choice. It doesn't mean they were perfect. They were far from perfect. But the choice was in their hands, and the choice is in each one of our hands. So thank you, guys.
That's a great way to get into our last question, which is coming from our festival sponsor, City. And that is, what is the ultimate takeaway of Clouds? I'm going to start with you, Finn.
The ultimate takeaway is Zach's resounding message you don't have to find out you're dying to start living. Things are very uncertain right now, and I think it's more important now than ever to hold on to the ones that you love, let them know you're there for them, and enjoy the time you have, because you don't know how much longer you have, and we need to make the most of it.
How about for you, Neve?
I think Finn put it perfectly. It really is. Live every day to the fullest and love those around you as tight as you can. I think what I will add, something that Laura said to me that I found so profound is she said that her relationship with Zach was not gone. If anything, it's stronger. Her perspective of their relationship, what she learned from him, how she continues to grow, the relationship continues to grow, even in his passing. And I think that's really beautiful.
Sabrina?
I think just like the biggest emotion that I feel from this movie is love. And I think it's to remember to do everything with love in your life. Obviously everything that they said, but adding on to that, like it just, Zach, Amy, Sammy, everybody, the whole family, when you meet them and you know them, like they just, that's their spirit. It's just full of love, everything they do, every choice they make. And I think that that's a really important thing to remember. Also, Sammy Brown was a great reminder for me to not take life so seriously and to learn to laugh at things. And one of the things I love most about the movie too is all the really funny moments and all like just the joy and just like the pure, moments that obviously we created on set, but also that just happened in real life and were inspired by those relationships that they had. I think really appreciate the people that stick by you and love them with everything you have.
And Madison.
Yeah, I mean, I second everything everyone else said. Love a lot. I don't think there's enough love to go, or there is enough love to go around. I think, as Finn and Zach said, to wrap it up, you don't have to find out you're dying to start living. And I think that's something we can all put into our lives more and more every single day.
Well, thank you so much. And let's give another round of applause for Finn. Come on, let's give it up. Go.
Thank you. No, round of applause to all of this cast and Justin, of course. It's a team effort.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for the special PaleyFest Fall TV Previews conversation with the members of the wonderful cast and creative team behind Clouds, which premieres on Disney Plus on October 16th. Thanks to the PaleyFest official Card City and festival sponsor Verizon. You can learn more about the Paley Center by visiting paleycenter.org. Thank you, stay safe, and take care.